Hey, what's going on everybody? This is JohnJake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with some late season Conference USA action as we are coming through here in the last few weeks of the regular season. We're to race to that Conference USA championship game. Oh baby, is that conference championship. It is heating up at every present moment. So all of these games that you're going to be seeing here today, they're all going to matter here. Big implications in terms of a conference championship as well as a possible trip to a bowl game, all going to be becoming very important here from here on out. So gonna be a very exciting episode here as we jump into this one. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well as we'll open it up with an interception of Tyler Webb as the Florida International Panthers early in the second quarter are actually going to intercept Tyler Webb, who actually was having an excellent season coming into today. That's only his 5th interception that he has thrown all season, and Giovanni Davis is going to be the guilty party. So a big moment here early for the FIU Panthers as they try to get the first touchdown, possibly, of the series! And it's a big play down the sideline, and it sets up FIU down in the red zone. A chance to get the first touchdown on the board as they go with a little bit of a speed option, and it's gotta be the speedy quarterback getting completely untouched, and FIU is gonna come out here, man, and they are going to get the first touchdown on the board early in that second quarter of action as Kyron Jenkins, the sophomore quarterback, puts FIU ahead. However, with that being said, this Jacksonville State team, they are in the hunt for the Conference USA Championship because, I mean, with all things being considered, they got that championship DNA, and you can see it on full display right here. Special teams being made by special players. Touchdown, Jacksonville State. And the Gamecocks are doing his away. Is gonna run away from the entire FIU special teams unit, and those, you know, you gotta love the teammates showing some love to the junior Michael Petway, pointing out the blockers, and even a punter couldn't do anything about it. So Jacksonville State opens up this lead, and they're gonna find themselves up here 16-7. So a lot of work need to be done by Kyron Jenkins. And Kyron Jenkins is going to get a big play down this sideline. You thought that Jacksonville State was going to pull away? Nah, FIU got some things that they got to fight through as well. Touchdown, Panthers. As the folks down in sunny Miami, it's going to make this a much more interesting game as he is going to connect with Eric Rivers just on a standard crossing route, but he was wide butt naked open, and he'll find himself gone like a girl in a country song. And we'll have ourselves a very entertaining game here as we'll cut to later on in the third quarter of action. Jenkins gonna drop back, fires over the middle, and fires a rocket from to the receiver, and he's got that 4.3 track speed. Ain't nobody gonna be catching this young man in a foot race. And just like that, FIU is gonna retake the lead as Matthews has running away from the cop speed, as what they would say if Gus Johnson is on the call. How about that throw by Jenkins? So, you know, throwing it on a rope on the seam route as well. And the rest was history after that. So FIU now having the lead. Jacksonville State seeking their 7th win in the season. They're certainly not going to go away. As we'll get into the fourth quarter, we will see Jacksonville State drive down the length of the field, and they will find the end zone. And the Gamecocks are going to be rolling into the end zone for a touchdown. And they could make this, if they go for a 2-point conversion and they get it, we could absolutely see them with a 3-point lead going into this final quarter of action. So let's see what Tyler Webb does, and it seems like they will keep the offense out onto the field for the 2-point conversion. And sure enough, Tyler Webb going to connect with the same tight end that's going to be able to find him in the end zone. And so with that, Jacksonville State does carry the lead. But JohnJake, however, he's got a response in his back pocket, though. All day to throw, fires over the middle, and into the contested grab. Touchdown, FIU. And the Panthers will retake the lead. Could be a little bit of a photo finish as we get into the final quarter, getting deeper into that final quarter, should I say, as Ross Fournot had a real difficult chance. Tight window there. Tackled as he was getting hit. And so with that being said, FIU takes the lead. And unfortunately, Jacksonville State could not respond. So the Panthers have a chance to close this game out with 3 minutes left. And Jenkins is going to find an open receiver down the sideline. As JohnJake, he was just having that kind of day today. 350 yards, 4 touchdowns. And nothing was more important than that particular catch there. That 3rd and 9 conversion is going to seal it, as Jackson is going to go into the victory formation. And keep in mind here, guys, FIU absolutely could have scored if they wanted to, but they wanted to be good sports and already getting this series started with a little bit of a spoiler. Jacksonville State had an outside chance of getting ranked at the end of the season if they were to win out, but instead it becomes the JohnJake show. As we'll go ahead and check out the stats here from this first game, and you can tell that FIU offense was definitely humming in this one. Over 500 yards of total offense, and they actually did a good job of taking care of the ball as well. Those 2 factors leading into a big upset victory for the Panthers to get things started here in this Conference USA series. However, with that being said, we'll go ahead and keep things rolling here with Western Kentucky playing host to Louisiana Tech. And Western Kentucky, another one of those teams that is certainly in the thick of things to compete for a Conference USA title at the end of the year. But only two teams get to go to that Conference USA championship. But the Hilltoppers are certainly in a running, and with Jacksonville State dropping their first game in conference play, it opens the door for a team like a Western Kentucky to not only make it to the Conference USA Championship, but also get to host that Conference Championship game as well. However, Louisiana Tech is certainly a team that's motivated to keep their season alive. And early on, this was a defensive struggle. Nobody really able to move the ball, and you can see why. This Bulldog defense absolutely, positively got after it here, man. That is a huge sack on a 3rd and 10. Veinkamp had nowhere to go, and Saifi Loke is going to force the Hilltoppers to settle for a field goal, which, to their credit, the field goal attempt does end up being good, so that's how we saw the first points of the game being scored. But this is the type of game that you would like to see Louisiana Tech play. You know, really get Western Kentucky, who is known for being an explosive offense, but Louisiana Tech pulls a fast one. They got somebody behind the defense, and he was gone like a girl in a country song. Not a good throw, though. That probably should have been more of a walk-in touchdown. The sophomore wide receiver should have not even been touched by a defender. But hey, you know, 7 points is still 7 points at the end of the day. And not to mention, Louisiana Tech does get to take the lead. However, Veinkamp is going to look to revitalize this offense here a little bit, as the Hilltoppers are going to be looking to try to convert a 4th and short. How is this running back still staying up? Oh my goodness! Ashton Genty, the Great Value brand version? Is that you, big fella? Oh my goodness, I thought Louisiana Tech was going to have him dead to rights. I truly thought they did, but Elijah Young just never gave up. The senior tailback needed that 4th down and just kept breaking tackles and eventually found the crease when he needed it the most. And that's how Western Kentucky takes the lead going into halftime. So could be a huge boost here for the Hilltoppers especially with Louisiana Tech not really able to move the ball. So Hilltoppers get one more shot at the end zone, and they convert this too. Man, you want to talk about a 14-point sling in the last couple minutes of this half. We certainly got that 14-point sling there, and I think this Hilltopper offense is really starting to wake up. Junior tight end River Hines is going to get the strike delivered to him, puts it on the money, as that's tight coverage. I mean, you're a DB. That's great positioning. I don't even know what to do there. I truly don't. But with that being said, the Hilltoppers will take a lead, but that lead is not going to remain forever, though, as we will go ahead. We'll jump into that third quarter of action now, and Davenport gets a really nice run onto the outside, is able to string out those Western Kentucky defenders who want to attack the pocket, not want to go side to side necessarily. And Denorio Davenport is going to set up future success here possibly for the Bulldogs, as they are going to tie things up here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. However, with that being said, we will see Viscamp respond, as we will find an open man in the back of the end zone. That's going to be a touchdown for the Hilltoppers there, as Western Kentucky will not take too terribly long to respond whatsoever. But at the same time, though, you know, if you're this Louisiana Tech defense, feeling a little disgusted, as Keyshawn Johnson was able to make a play in the back of the end zone. This is also pretty good coverage as well, and so, I mean, not really much that you can do there. But with that being said, it's still a one possession game, could go in either direction, and this could be a big play when it matters the most, because that could kick the Hilltoppers out of field goal range. Now, you do see this Western Kentucky team up by just 7 points, but because of that sack by Durham Campbell, it at least forces them to try a 52-yard field goal, which is not exactly a big moment here in terms of like getting the field goal, or is a layup in terms of field goal making, but they are going to make the field goal there for sure. So Western Kentucky still has the 10-point lead, but they will need to get one more stop. They can get a stop on what I'm presuming is going to be a couple more drives. Then, with that being said, Louisiana Tech might be barbecue chicken, and they are going to miss out on a bowl game. So, big couple plays here coming up as they try to throw down the length of the field. There's a guy open here, and it's caught! Jack Turner finds a receiver downfield, and the Bulldogs are going to be inside the 10-yard line. First down, Louisiana Tech, as a junior quarterback sets them up in a goal line situation here. As now, second and goal, couple plays later, and Jack Turner finds his receiver in the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldogs! And Louisiana Tech is going to make things a lot more interesting here in the final few minutes of this ball game, because now it's just 3:43 left. So Western Kentucky is certainly going to need at least a couple of first downs. I'm sure they would prefer to have points on the board. So an interesting decision here on what they decide to do, and they end up punting the ball back over to the Hilltoppers. They actually do get the free and out, and now Jack Turner actually does have a chance to lead his team to victory. Are we going to see two upsets here in one single episode? Is that what really is about to go down? Well, it all comes down to this. 4th and 11. They got to get to midfield. Otherwise, this game is over. Jack is going to fire one deep down the right-hand side, but his receiver cannot haul it in. And the Hilltoppers are going to escape with a slim 30-24 victory. The Hilltoppers are going to take advantage of the loss that was had by Jacksonville State earlier in this episode, as the Hilltoppers set up a date with Liberty here in the future to possibly play themselves into the Conference USA Championship. And it's just a matter of, you know, like championship DNA. You look at a lot of the stats offensively, Louisiana Tech actually had the advantage in a lot of categories. However, it's just seen when it mattered the most. The Hilltoppers made more plays, and it looks like Louisiana Tech will not be going bowling this upcoming season. So with that being said, we did talk about Liberty a little bit earlier, but Liberty, even though they are playing, they actually are not going to be playing against a fellow Conference USA team. They actually will be making a rare non-conference appearance. They will be going on the road to take on the UMass Minutemen. Now, the UMass Minutemen have had a difficult season. They have not won a single game at the FBS level. Their 2 wins this year came against FCS opponents, while Liberty is looking to get its rhythm back after they've lost 2 of their last 3 games. Both one to Kennesaw State, which is a questionable one. And it makes it really interesting with how this team has lost a couple of games, because they certainly do have the best quarterback in the conference in Caden Salter. And you could see right away what that overall difference can be, because most quarterbacks cannot make that throw across his body, especially on these sliders. And Salter just made it look easy, able to easily complete that pass. And that's how Liberty is going to get on the board. One of their opening drives of the ball game is going to, in fact, lead to a touchdown to Treon Sibley. And I mean, that's just elementary, my friend. And so Liberty is going to start off pretty hot here. They're going to eventually jump out to a 10-0 start before UMass even gets the ball to midfield. But if they can't convert this 3rd and 7, then I don't know what to tell you. But that is a beautiful throw over the middle of the field, and it eventually does set up UMass for a short field goal attempt. So the Minutemen will eventually get themselves on the board, but if they can't stop this backfield duo that Liberty has, I mean, it's still going to be a long day, even though it is just a 1-possession match after 1 quarter of play. Now, going into the 2nd quarter, Salter is going to have a beautiful play action set up. Had a receiver running over the middle of the field, wide butt naked open, so UMass was definitely fooled there on the play action. And that big play is eventually going to set up Caden Salter with his 2nd passing touchdown of the afternoon, as the Liberty Flames, they are going to be coming out on fire against this Minutemen squad. And that's once again Treon Sibley being the recipient, and that's his 2nd receiving touchdown of the afternoon. So one of these drives here for UMass is going to become a lot more important, because I mean, if you come away empty-handed here, you're really going to set yourself up for a long day potentially. This game could absolutely get out of hand. We'll see if that actually happens or not, because UMass does eventually drive themselves into the red zone. Their quarterback is going to scramble for it, and it's actually going to be just short of the sticks. And you would think, you know, being an underdog, but at home, you would actually go for it here. I mean, you just need an inch. But no, instead, they are actually just going to play it safe here, and the Minutemen are going to, in fact, just get a field goal up on the board. However, Liberty doesn't do anything with its next possession, so the Minutemen will have a chance to make this a 1-score game, as a head tap down the sideline. And again, Liberty is on the back foot defensively, as a score here could make it just a 1-possession game. We could be looking at a serious upset alert here. But alas, UMass can't move the ball after the big play, and they would have to settle for yet another field goal. The opportunities have certainly been there for the Minutemen. However, they just have not been able to take advantage whatsoever. Now, we'll go ahead and jump into the 2nd half with Liberty only being up by 8 points. As again, the Minutemen, have these moments where they are moving the ball downfield. They're making like these good plays. But for whatever reason, whenever they get into the red zone, they haven't been able to do anything in the red zone. So even though UMass, and I kid you not when I say this, they had 4 red zone opportunities, they've all led to field goals. This could have easily been a 28-17 game in favor of the home team. But instead, Caden Salter coming out with a chance to possibly, put this game away a little bit, or at least make it a lot closer to doing that. As Salter tries to set up the speed option on a 3rd and short, but that doesn't go anywhere either. That actually becomes the first points of the second half for this Liberty squad, which is kind of surprising considering, at least on paper, this is the best overall offense in the entire conference. So this has the team that has all the ingredients, so to speak, in terms of being a really dangerous football team, but we don't necessarily see them live up to their full potential. Granted, they play well enough to win, or we still likely win, unless something crazy happens. At the same time, though, you expect a team that is trying to, get itself ranked at this late juncture of the year, trying to get them into the college football playoff top 25. You gotta do better than beating a UMass team by 11. And even that is ultimately in question right now, as UMass once again gets themselves into the red zone, but in front of stalling out after a couple of short losses. So 3rd and 13, they're actually going to try to run for it, so that tells me they are definitely going for it on 4th down, which they could just settle for a field goal and make this an 8-point game. But hey, give the Minuteman coaching staff a some kudos. They're definitely going to go down. If they're going to go down, they're going to go down aggressive here, but they check it down on a 4th and 5, and of course it does end up leading into a turnover on downs, as that run is effectively going to end the game after that, because we do end up seeing this UMass team run out of timeouts after that. Salter is going to go ahead and just take the knee, and well, again, this is not what you would want to see, in terms of playing a 2-7 team. Liberty does find a way to win, and at 8-2, they have an outside shot, if they can win out, to at least possibly get ranked in the top 25 to end the season. So here's how the things went down, and you can kind of see how UMass adjusted. And again, it's not like UMass was really that bad. They had over 350 yards of total offense. They didn't turn the ball over at all. It really came down to red zone efficiency, and they just weren't efficient at all. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more of an offensive-minded game, as we'll have Sam Houston traveling to take on Kennesaw State, which, as you guys may know, the Kennesaw State Owls are going to come out. They are the newest team in the FBS, and I've actually seen this stadium on TV a couple of times when watching Conference USA football in real life. Yes, it is the smallest football stadium in the FBS. Even what Northwestern is temporarily using has more seating than what Kennesaw State has. At the same time, though, there are some very quality seats there, and it definitely seems like it's a very intimate environment. Kind of reminds me of a great value brand Nippert Stadium. But will that be enough to will themselves into an upset victory over Sam Houston? Because you already know this Bearcats team is going to be heavily favored. But you can also see at the same time, though, that this Kennesaw State Owl squad is completely unfazed by that. They truly do not care what FanDuel or what any of these other betting sites say. Christian Moss is going to be wide but naked open in the back of the end zone. And, no one's messing up that one. I mean, I probably could have at least found a way to throw a touchdown pass with that kind of space wide, but naked open. But the big thing for Kennesaw State is consistency. Kennesaw State, even though they're 1-8, they've had their moments this year to where they put a few good spurts here or there, but playing a whole 60-minute game at the FBS level, that's not going to be easy, and that's showing here as Ife Adelia, the senior for Sam Houston, is going to be open and actually ends up scoring pretty easily as well. So Sam Houston will retake the lead, but with a minute left, the Owls can take that lead before we go into halftime, but that's not what you want to see. A fumble in the backfield, recovered by the Cardiac Cats, as Sam Houston is going to be set up with beautiful field position after that. They are going to go ahead and get things started inside the 15-yard line after Isaiah Nixon, the senior, ends up recovering the fumble. So, first and goal from the 3-yard line as the Bearcats will cash that in for a quick touchdown. And just like that, the Bearcats are going to have a convincing lead going into halftime. And, you know, it makes you wonder if, hey, maybe those betting markets actually knew a thing or two of what's going on. Nice run down Main Street for John Gentry, though. So, we'll go ahead and jump into the fourth quarter because, to be honest with you, not really much happens at all in the third quarter of action. We do see a Kennesaw State field goal, but after that, you know, nothing really consequential happening. On the other hand, as soon as we get ready to start this final quarter of action, though, that is when we see Sam Houston find the end zone yet again. It's the third offensive touchdown for the Bearcats today, as Noah Smith might have put in a little bit of a dagger in this one. 27-10, you're down by 17 in the fourth quarter. I have a hard time believing that this Kennesaw State team can actually come back. But at the same time, though, we have seen some crazier things happen, as this right here could give the Owls some life, as they are now in Bearcat territory. You're wondering why Sam Houston's got that Cardiac Cat nickname, even though they've been exciting to watch all season long. At the same time, though, they have been prone to, you know, making certain games that shouldn't be competitive, actually competitive. And I mean that in the worst way possible. Now, with that being said, Sam Houston does take a lot of time off the clock, but they don't come away with any points. So, with that being said, that means Kennesaw State is going to have to score quickly, trying to save those 2 timeouts if he can. But when you take a sack like that, that's going to create some interesting issues. Kennesaw State is now down to 1 timeout. It leads to a 4th and 29. But look at this. All day to throw. He's going to let it fire downfield, and it's caught. Caught at the 8-yard line. And Kennesaw State suddenly does have a little bit of life. But with that being said, we got a sack down on the goal line, and Kennesaw State is having a hard time finding those remaining few yards. It leads to another 4th down. Gotta throw it in the air, and it should have been intercepted 2 separate occasions where it could have been picked off. But Sam Houston will hang on to win 27-13. Ends up being your final score in this one, and Connor Watson gets to be named player of the game in this particular affair. So, with that being said, the final game that we do have going on here is that we have New Mexico State, who, for all intents and purposes, their season is over. They're not going to go to a bowl game because their APR scores, even if they win out, it would be really difficult to get an extra bowl spot as a 5-win team. But what they can do, because they are also playing a late non-conference game, you know how the SEC likes to do with having cupcakes in the month of November, Texas A&M is in the position to possibly make the college football playoff. However, a loss to New Mexico State somehow would effectively end those dreams unless they were to win the SEC. So we could get rid of all of their non-conference, their at-large responsibilities. But if we want to pull the upset off against the number 14th ranked in the nation, we're going to have to play a little bit better than that, don't you think? That is a touchdown for Texas A&M, and the Aggies will quickly get themselves on the board. And because we didn't necessarily win the coin toss either, well, that means Texas A&M will get the ball to start the second half too. So that's not how we wanted to start things off. However, give credit to this New Mexico State squad. They actually do a great job of responding after a fumble leading into the end zone. The Aggies will come out, and I'm talking about the New Mexico Aggies. They're going to come out on the next drive, and they are going to put together a really methodical drive. Not a lot of highlights happening on this particular possession, but Mike Washington is going to cap it off with a 2-yard touchdown, and we got ourselves a tied game, and a game that suddenly could get a lot more interesting, as again we see New Mexico State driving downfield. They are across the 50-yard line, but we turn the ball over yet again. It's not a bad decision, it's just not a great throw by the quarterback. That really ends up being the difference, because that receiver, let's be honest with ourselves, it was absolutely open for a first down. That should have actually been converted, and the drive continues. However, credit to Bravion Rogers, he was in just the right place in the right time, so Texas A&M will take over at about the 37-yard line, and right after, Connor Legman gets the play action going, fires downfield, and it doesn't take too terribly long, but a few plays later, Legman is going to hand it off to Le'Veon Moss, who finds the end zone for Texas A&M, and you could really see that 12th man going absolutely insane right here. Touchdown for this Texas A&M squad, and once again, the Aggies of the SEC, well, they will have the lead once again. So with that being said, 10 minutes left in the second quarter. We've seen Texas A&M take advantage of both turnovers so far. That has led to both of Texas A&M's touchdowns. Let's see how our Conference USA Aggies, how they will end up handling things from here on out, as we got a 1st and 10 coming up, setting up the play action, gets a clean pocket, fires over the middle, and actually finds a receiver. That's a nice throw there by Deuce Hogan, who had the interception thrown earlier in this quarter. It eventually leads to getting the New Mexico State squad into field goal range, and they'll finish the drive with more points. So, you know, you can tell there's definitely a roster disparity difference between Texas A&M and New Mexico State. I'm sure that's not going to be disputed in any way, shape, or form, but New Mexico State is definitely still competing, and the fact that this is still a semi-competitive game going into the third quarter, I mean, that's a minor miracle in itself, right? But, you know, Amari Daniels is looking to change that up. Thought that was going to be a moment where we see this, this drive, be a signaling moment where Texas A&M is going to just run away with the rest of this game, but that's not what happens here. New Mexico State actually forms a stone wall after that, holds them to a field goal, and then later in that same quarter, Deuce Hogan's going to drop back on a 3rd and 4, fires over the left-hand side, and is able to get to completion on the drag pattern, and all of a sudden, New Mexico State, they're only down by 6 points against one of the premium brands in college football. I'm going to tell you what, guys, they have the number 14 team in the nation. They definitely have them on the ropes and giving them absolutely everything that they can handle, looking for more than just a paycheck, clearly. However, 3rd and short here, going into the final quarter of action, Texas A&M starts to pull away once again, as we'll see Connor Legman lead another drive down the field, leads to yet another touchdown, and it looks like this might be the point where Texas A&M really starts to flex his muscles, as, you know, just sees Le'Veon Moss just chilling with nobody else really around him by any means. Easy check down to make, and they're even going to have the audacity to go for the 2-point conversion as well. So we'll see if Connor Legman picks it up. They pitch at the last moment, and Le'Veon Moss is all by himself, wide but naked open. And that's going to give Texas A&M a 2-possession lead again. So at this point, it becomes extremely imperative that we come out on this next drive. It's got to be a touchdown. Got to have another touchdown. And, you know, for playing in an SEC environment, New Mexico State has been playing solid. There haven't been a liquid or gas by any means. But with that being said, 4th and 23, an impossible spot to be in, as our offensive line is simply no match for what is considered an average Tuesday in the SEC, it feels like. It's going to be a moment where I'm proud. We're definitely proud of what New Mexico was able to do here in being competitive, but a loss is still a loss. And while Texas A&M will ultimately go ahead and remain alive for that college football playoff hunt, but at the same time, though, you did allow a 2-7 Conference USA team hang around into the 4th quarter, might I add. So I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M moves down the rankings. And so because of that, you know, New Mexico State gets to play a little bit of spoiler, even though it may not be the home run type of spoiling game that maybe we wanted to see here. Alright, man, so we got through the entirety of week number 12, and Isaiah Nixon was able to come out. He had such a big day that not only was he named like the Conference Player of the Week, obviously, but he was also named National Player of the Week, too. His 5 sacks and a forced fumble was a real difference maker, as Sam Houston just continues to find ways to win, even against a lowly Kennesaw State squad. Meanwhile, Offensive Player of the Week does end up going to JohnJake, who, while he struggled to run the ball, he did manage to find the end zone on 4 separate occasions. He also threw for over 370 yards, and he was able to help pull that upset off against Jacksonville State and play a little bit of spoiler to maybe stop Jacksonville State from going to the conference championship game, as well as keep Florida International alive in terms of going to a bowl game. Also, in terms of taking a quick look at things that are happening around the country, Illinois was able to beat Michigan State. Oregon is going to continue to be ranked number 1 in the country. Arkansas actually pulls a big upset off against Texas, so now Texas is looking a little questionable in terms of getting to the college football playoff now. Tulane continues to win. Alabama, handled its business against, this is actually Mercer in real life. Notre Dame blows out Virginia. Ohio State does end up blowing out Northwestern on the road. Penn State is able to beat Purdue. Purdue continue to be one of the most down bad Power 4 teams in the country. In the game of the week, Georgia is going to be able to beat Tennessee. Clemson narrowly able to edge one out against the Pittsburgh Panthers. Kansas State is going to continue to find a way to win, and they remain in the hunt for the Big 12 championship. BYU will remain undefeated to get a close win against Kansas. South Carolina blows out Missouri. Boston College is going to hand SMU their first conference loss, so now SMU might need to win the ACC in order to go to the college football playoff. Colorado continues its second half surge. Boise State is going to be ranked even higher. Louisville will have a close win against Stanford, and to round things out, Washington State is able to handle business against the New Mexico Lobos. So this is where the rankings stand at this point, and we do see Georgia now entrenched in the top 5 after getting that big win against the Tennessee Volunteers. BYU is also able to get into the top 10 as well, as they were able to hold it down against Kansas. Texas did fall 8 spots there, so that is a pretty significant drop. And then Tennessee, even though they lost to a top 10 football team, they fell 10 spots as well. Kansas State is up 5. SMU is down 10 as well. And then here's what the rest of the top 25 looks like. Army and Illinois are now ranked in the college football playoff top 25, but we do not have any Conference USA teams part of this top 25 poll. Alright, so this is now what the Conference USA standings look like as we're getting into the last couple of games of the season in real life. So Western Kentucky definitely controls their own destiny. They are currently undefeated in the conference as of right now. Big thing here is that because Jacksonville State took that loss to FIU, this was a huge favor that was done for the Liberty Flames, because for the Liberty Flames, they needed Jacksonville State to lose in order to have a resemblance of a chance. They're going to need Jacksonville State to collapse in the final couple of games of the season. Might even need some help from Sam Houston, but for all intents and purposes, Liberty is still alive, and technically, mathematically speaking, FIU also isn't dead yet. So I feel like Western Kentucky is definitely going to be in this Conference USA Championship championship here as we round out the end of this real-life season. But at the same time, that second spot for like the Conference USA Championship game is going to get really interesting. So we'll go ahead and settle that there in the next episode as we'll go ahead and continue trying to wrap up this season. We do have a few games that we're definitely going to check in on. Almost every Conference USA game in week number 13 we are going to check in on. Want to see if Louisiana Tech can maybe play a little bit spoiler against Arkansas late in the year. Big game happening between Sam Houston and Jacksonville State that could ultimately decide who ends up making it to the Conference USA Championship and who's going to be on that outside looking in. Tennessee hosting UTEP. We'll see how the Miners end up doing, and this will be the first time that we see UTEP actually play in this series. And then we'll close things out here with Western Kentucky playing Liberty. Liberty must win this game at home in order to remain alive for the Conference USA Championship. Whereas for the Hilltoppers, a win for them would clinch their a berth to the championship game automatically. And depending on what happens, they could also clinch that championship game being on their home campus, which is a big thing about this conference. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, man. We had some fun games. We had some very competitive games overall, which I'm pretty happy about. And if you enjoyed this video, man, make sure you go ahead and do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is JohnJake Gaming on the mic signing off, but hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.